I kind of walk around and I'm by myself, and I stare at things, and it's as though I've come from another world.
Yeah?
Yeah, yeah, it's like that.
I want to know, especially when you are a writer of stories, there are subplots, there are sub-stories, in which the characters are coming together from different backgrounds and rebunting. Does it take some sort of a conscious, carefulness when you start off on one trajectory, tracing somebody's story, and then not getting lost in the whole chaos of it, and then coming back to the same trunk, of it?
It's interesting you should ask that, because like when I start to write a novel, I just know there are no chapter divisions, there are no theme is clear. I just go on and on and on till I reach 120,000 words. Then I have this mass. It's like the paint and the canvas, or the thread and the cloth. Okay, so I have these threads that I then begin to weave into a piece of cloth. Suppose I'm stuck in this bid to write 120,000 words. I say, okay, let me take it that way. Let me introduce another character, or let me go back to this character. I often think if I knew beforehand what my story would be, it might make life a little easier for me, but I can't do it.
We're talking about you taking off with a theme, and then the story takes its own course. Characters begin to take their own course. Sometimes they're not your own creation. They somehow just happen to begin themselves.
I know, I have heard people say this, that the characters develop their own life, and I haven't found that. My characters have the life I give them. I don't, they don't really run away with me.
You're talking about, how you don't know the end. How do you reach your end?
Well, it's through the writing. It might take me a year to write a first draft. So as I'm writing it, the end becomes clearer. I'll have a last sentence.
Right.
This is a good way to finish this book.
Okay.
And then I'll kind of work backwards.
Yeah.
Okay, for that last sentence. So that's happened with all my books. I have a last sentence somewhere in the middle, and then I'll go towards that.
That's interesting again.
Yeah.
A lot of authors and a lot of poets, they talk about this, that, I took off, and from somewhere the bigger force, took over, and I just went on, and then when I sat back and looked at it, and I was wondering, how the hell did this get written? Have you also experienced that?
Sometimes I experience that when I see my books. I said, but I'm just not that kind of writer. Sometimes I will think, when I read something I've written, I'll say, gosh, how did I write that? Did I? So I'll have this sense of wonder, but not this immediate thing that you're describing.
Okay.
And I see myself as a tailor, as I said, or a painter, or, just putting it together, total...
You're more logical
total
about it.
Dagzipan, total whatever.
Your characters, I'll begin with the women characters,
Okay.
They seem to, at some point, they break out of the molds. They seem to make bold decisions. Is there a social rebel in you, maybe, a woman like that, sitting somewhere inside you?
I'm a total feminist. I feel for women to lead lives that are fulfilling and satisfying, that often they do have to break out. When I was writing Home, there were some people, my daughter, for example, who read it in manuscript, said, Mama, you can't make this woman give up her shop, you can't. And I did try, I did take their views into consideration. I did write it that she doesn't give up her shop in the end. But it just seemed all wrong. Those decisions, which I feel are integral to a character, that I have a strong sense about.
Is there also some sort of a social responsibility, or some sort of a social obligation to allow the book to make a statement or do something for the bigger?
I do. See, I don't make a statement because nobody likes to be banged on the head with a statement. But I do want to create awareness. Although my books may not reach a satisfactory conclusion in some ways, but that it would make readers more aware of the choices women face or the constraints in their lives, that if it does that, then I feel I've succeeded.
How different are men and women readers' reactions to your books?
70% of fiction readers are women, and those 30% of men I don't really meet. So And my editor is a man,
Yeah, of course.
in London.
Right.
And, he thinks, he likes the stuff I write, so
But he must be an Englishman sitting somewhere
he is
in
an
London.
Englishman. He is.
I don't know what an Indian, but things have changed maybe, yes.
I hope so.
Yeah. Okay, even the issues that we somehow which crawl into your books, it almost seems that we're talking about the taboo, stuff also. We're talking about lesbianism somewhere. There's an extramarital affair somewhere.
There's sexual dysfunction. There.
Do you think the less spoken or the hushed issues, make for interesting storytelling, or do you think they are a part of every human life that we will all relate with all this?
I do believe that nothing should be taboo. I mean, if there's a situation that causes distress, that not talking about it causes even greater distress. Yes. And these things happen. For example, in home there's an incident of child abuse. And as child abuse goes, it's not too terrible. It's not the abuse so much that bothers the girl in the end, but it's the secrecy around it. There's the denial of it. It never got expression. And so it expresses herself in her skin. So I do think that there should not be taboo subjects. Right. How can there be any redress, any recovery, any healing, if you like, if you don't talk about it?
Writing, the magical experience of expression, and then meeting ourselves somewhere along the line. We'll talk about that and more with Manju Kapur, but after this break. I'm back. Manjuji, is there always a very specific point that you want your book to reach? Are you able to recognize very clearly when your book reaches the end?
When I can fit that line in. Yeah. Like the last line in Custody is possession is 9/10 of victory, or something like that. So the idea of possession is something that runs through Custody. Who possesses who? Do husbands possess their wives? Do women possess themselves? Do parents possess their children? To what extent? So when I reached the point where I could put this sentence in, okay, finished. So when I do the rewrites, then I'll expand the middle. It's not that I'll add on the end. The end is there.
Finally, I mean, you've been writing all this while. What is your understanding of good writing, and how has it evolved over the years? How do you think has its definition changed?
I don't think the definition of good writing has changed. People change the way they express themselves because of the times they live in. I think the criteria for good writing is something that will last, something that makes you think, something that reflects the world, and ultimately it's also the craft. The craft is extremely important. Right. So it's also a cultural thing, and there are whole theories as to what lasts, what doesn't. I'd like to last a bit at least.
Yeah. There's so many people writing, and even more and more people are writing now. I mean, youngsters,
Throw a stone and you hit a writer.
How do you think, in this whole sea of writers, what do you think makes a publisher, what is your idea, what do you think makes a publisher zoom in on one writer and say, okay, this is the guy I'm going to publish?
Publishers are willing to take a chance with the first novel that they won't with the second. And I've been told repeatedly by my publishers that, the bottom line is sales. So it all seems quite dreadful. Right. But on the other hand, I mean, my British publishers, when I was rejected by Indian publishers, my British publishers did publish me. So I was rejected 8 times before they took me on. That's a whole different side of writing. That's to do with sales, to do with commercial viability. Publishers also say they are nurturing quality. There are many dynamics there. I'm just grateful I don't have to be concerned with that.
You've always written the books that you wanted to write. There's not a single book or is there any book which wants to be written by you, but you probably think that maybe...
No.
It may not be...
No. So in that way, I'm lucky in my publishers. I'm lucky that I have these publishers sitting in London. There's this great distance between us. Now that I've reached my 5th book, I can write anything I want. Nobody's telling me what to write or not write.
Right.
I don't think a writer can function if there are these inner sensors and blinkers and do this, do that. I don't
Yeah.
see how you can write if you're not totally free in this.
The whole honesty of it also seeps through to the reader.
Yeah.
Okay, as an overview, you know, what aspects of you are coming from your writing, your life as a writer?
See, I am in my books, so it's not the other way around.
Okay.
You know, in my books I'm searching. I take situations and I look at women in them. And I guess because I started writing late, I was in my 40s.
Yeah.
I often think that if I was younger, I might be writing more romantic stuff, you know, more about love. But I'm now interested in the way things turn out after you love, after you marry. What do you do then? So I guess all of me is expressed in my book. How it is expressed, I can't really tell, because it's somewhat of a semi-conscious thing that what goes in your books and stuff.
You can't
like-
put a finger to it, but you know it's there.
No, yes, because obviously my books are, you know, special to me. Yeah, nobody else can write them. When I had to decide between teaching and writing and giving up one, I thought, you know, there can be other good teachers who teach, you know, students, but there can only be one person who can write my books. Only one.
Yeah.
So,
This whole thing you're talking about, focusing on writing and really going deeper into it. Do you think you had to compromise in other spaces, like, you know, as a wife, as a mother, or as a social person, as somebody's friend, maybe as a daughter?
I chucked social life, which suited my temperament actually. So I don't go out, I don't go anywhere. I'm totally antisocial. I don't pick up my phone, as you have seen. It enables my writing, and my writing enables me as a human being, and so on and so forth. And so no, I haven't compromised.
And as a mother, as a wife?
See, I could not be a full-time mother and wife without doing something of my own. This would drive me crazy.
Yeah.
I had to be doing my own thing. That gave me a sense of satisfaction, which then I hope certainly provided a role model for my daughters, for my children.
And what role has your family played?
Huge. I mean, my husband is somebody I consult and who is a reader. My children are my son hasn't read a book I've written.
Yeah?
So no.
Does it hurt somewhere?
Well, he's still young, you know, he's 21 and he's not a great reader. So he will one day. The daughters have.
They read all the books.
Yeah, they have. I think. But, you know, at home I don't function as a writer. That's another life. I now have a space that I built in the house, and I write there. I call it my eyrie because it's a little high.
There's a routine to your writing?
I work in the mornings, and then at 1 I go to this gymkhana and I exercise. And then I come home, and then the rest of the day is mine.
Is there some sort of a destination you wish to achieve in your writing?
Well, I have 4 more books sketched out, and I want to write them. That's all. You know, each book I want to do the best book I possibly can. Write it in the best way. Hope that the next book is better than the book before.
Right.
And that people read them, because just as the other half of being a writer is being a reader, the other half of writing a book is being read, is my readers.
Mm-hmm.
So I have that, if you like, I have that security that I know I will be published. It's that really, at least that anxiety.
Yeah.
Of all the anxieties in writing, that at least is not there.
That's taken care of.
Yeah,
and it's a huge, taken care of.
It is.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Manjuji, for taking out this time to speak to us.
Thank you, Balpreet.
We really wish that your writings, each book continues to outshine the previous one, and hope your writing keeps surprising you and keeps you happy.
Thank you.
Oh, to write and write like there were no other way. Manju Kapur sure thinks she's blessed. And as her words begin to weave their tales on us, there's enough nodding between us.